The blackout situation is gradually getting out of control. If earlier we talked about isolated protests that occurred in cities like Dnipro, I showed this. Kryvyi Rih, I showed this. Khmelnytsky region, I showed this. Now these are no longer isolated incidents. They are happening regularly in many settlements, even in those that, relatively speaking, are not experiencing the full extent of the problem known as the blackout. Look, Vinnytsia region, Mogiliev-Podilsky. This isn't Kyiv, but the electricity situation and the unfair distribution of power supply lead to situations where utility workers and energy workers are being attacked. Well done. Always. Yes, always and forever. Well, as you can see, they had to call the police so that the crowd wouldn't tear apart the head of the local energy department in that particular settlement. So, how did it all actually start? With a verbal altercation that, as I already mentioned, simply got out of control. Then the police, then a tough response, then the identification of these people. In this video, then some case for minor bodily injuries. And the questions arise, who is supposed to control this? Who is to blame? Who is pushing people to this point? The answer is obvious. Putin is pushing people to this. Next, we figure out whether this is related to the blackout or not. Or is it no longer a blackout, but rather an issue with the networks that turned out to be unprepared? And when these networks are stressed, when the power returns to them, they simply burn out. These transformers can't handle it, and people are left without electricity, not because of shelling, but simply without power. Now it's actually because of the non-functionality of communications. Look, here's another story, this time from Kyiv, Dnipro district, the left bank if you're not from Kyiv. I saw it with my own eyes today. Talked to the residents about what actually happened. A team arrived.
Vinnyt, don't leave, don't leave. Tasha, you're Tasha's friend. D-Tech decided to leave.
An emergency crew from Kyiv's power grid arrived, responding to the residents' call. And as you can see, the communication here turned into blocking the vehicle. Now you can see the police have arrived. As it turned out, the police were called to this address, Zakrevskyi 63, Dnipro district, Troyeshina. They were called at the request of the emergency crew itself because their vehicle was blocked. Next, let's see how it all unfolded.
The sluggish authorities can't bring us light. There isn't any, because there's no power supply. If you die, then that's it for everyone. It's now the 4th day without electricity. There's no supply. Dear child, pay attention to the buildings that are freezing, that aren't being lit. Now go close the request. And it will turn out that we'll just keep going like this. 2 or 3 more courts. They'll say again that
there is electricity according to your equipment. Boy.
Please be quiet. Well, yes. The police called the childhood workers saying that we aren't letting them go, and they don't want to do anything or take action with the building. We'll probably all go to the office.
A comment from the residents. I also have something to say about this. What's the situation? The blocking, obviously. The police came here to unblock the emergency crew's vehicle. But according to the people, the emergency crew didn't help them at all. They stated that some fuses at the substation blow immediately after they're repaired. So the problem here isn't just with some emergency shutdown, but with the substation itself being faulty. That's very interesting. So the building, and it's not just one building, it's a whole complex, several addresses, have been left without power. And here's how one man, a resident of one of the apartments in this building, explains the situation to himself. I recorded him.
I shut off number 63. At 2:00 p.m., it will be the 5th day. 5 full days without electricity. D-Tech comes, goes inside, installs the fuses, and leaves. 5 to 7 minutes later, it trips again. D-Tech sends the information to the housing office. The housing office sends it back to D-Tech. Right now, there are representatives from the housing office and D-Tech here. We've blocked their way until they fix it. And they've already contacted the local law enforcement authorities on us. But we're firmly standing our ground and refusing to move, holding on until they finally restore our essential electrical power.
Well, that's the story. And look, here things are happening more or less civilly, as it turns out. Because I was also sent a screenshot of a conversation with Maxim Bakhmatov. This is already a shout out to the district state administration. By the way, regarding the fact that Klitschko, yes, was clarifying things quite emotionally in the public space with the government headquarters, that there are district administrations that also need to take some responsibility. And here, look, they even wrote a warning to Maxim Bakhmatov, and he saw it. Here you go, morning 6:27. I see good morning from the residents of our building. For your information, today we will be blocking the road to somehow draw attention to our building. Well, it wasn't actually a road blockade. It was the area around the building, because the substation is located inside the complex among the buildings. And so at Kryvyi 63 and Kryvyi 65, 2 buildings, no one fixed anything all night. So, friends, it's been several days now, and not because of shelling anymore, but because, as it turned out, the condition of this network is just terrible. Well, I don't know, we really need to pay attention to all of this. Here's another rather interesting story, because today I received a lot of, well, in recent days, all of this has been happening. A lot of people are hoping for journalists, hoping that this will be spread, that someone will pay attention to them. But here too, Kyiv, look, this is a screenshot from a conversation with the condominium association, an internal building group. So what are they writing? It seems like a different situation, but it's very similar. Dear residents, the apartments may be left without electricity for a long time. For a long time? A month or even longer. Wow. A month or even longer. We have a problem, which is that when the electricity is turned on, there is a very heavy load on the switchboards located in the basements of the first and second sections. The equipment is burning out. Yesterday after the electricity was turned on in the switchboard of the first section, there was literally fog, smoke. The switch for the apartment power supply heated up to 150 degrees Celsius. The entire switchboard to burn out. This repair will take a long time. Do you understand? This is the level of issues we need to deal with today. Not just writing things like, let's do this, as Klitschko, for example, writes. Look, he says, we're all going to leave Kyiv again. I'm telling you honestly, this situation is extremely difficult, and this might not even be the hardest moment yet. Stock up on food, water, and essential medicines. If anyone still has the option to leave the city for a place with alternative sources of power and heat, do so. Don't dismiss them. So this most difficult moment, it's important for everyone to hear this right now, is not connected to Russian shelling. It's also connected to the fact that the networks are being restored. But since the distribution is uneven, all these networks are simply collapsing. And this doesn't just concern electricity. For example, there's the switchboard that's smoking over there, the repairs, and Zakrevskyi Street, where some fuses blow out 5 to 7 minutes after they're put back in place. So this is already a major replacement of something. So how are people supposed to live now? Now, there's also a proposal from Klitschko moving forward. So how about you all go? To the heating station we've set up in the neighborhoods where you can even eat, drink, and spend the night. Today, I'm asking again, elderly people to spend the night at a heating station when it's plus 7 degrees in their apartment. Look, this is what they're telling me.
No one says anything. They say it's the housing office's problem because it's in the building. The housing office says it's D-Tech's problem because it's in the boiler room. Honestly, no one knows, and we don't know how to solve all this.
Look, well, okay, Klitschko's advising everyone to leave Kyiv for the second time already. And what do you think about this?
And where am I supposed to go? Tell me, please, am I supposed to go out into a field, or where can I go? I have nowhere to go, for example. I'll come, as I did before, to a cold place. Well, how am I supposed to sleep there? I'm already an elderly person. How am I supposed to manage there? That's all. Excuse me. What heating points? How am I supposed to get there? We also have many bedridden people, elderly people like that, in our building. There are also many with children, with little ones. How can we go somewhere if we don't even know where to go? We don't have the means to go anywhere like that.
A challenge? Friends, a challenge? Or is it not a challenge? And who is supposed to answer this now? Koncharenko writes today that it's not their fault that our energy sector, our infrastructure, was left unprotected. He means the utility workers and employees. Kyiv's power grid was mentioned several times. It's not their fault. The ones to blame are Zelensky's friends, who stole money meant for protection, claiming there was no point in building it. Let them explain that to Ukrainians now, who are freezing in dark apartments. But they aren't in Ukraine, not in Kyiv, not in Dnipro, Zakrevskyi, or Kryvyi Rih. They calmly left for Israel. Meanwhile, the energy workers are here, undershelling, without sleep, without days off, doing everything they can to keep the system from collapsing completely. And when I see videos of people beating those who are now using their last ounce of strength to bring us back electricity, it's awful, and it absolutely shouldn't be happening. So the videos where people are being beaten. Just now, I was giving you examples where no one is being beaten. It's just there are stories where patience has run out. But here, people are actually being beaten. But look, a very interesting event happened here. Well, basically, right in the historical center of Kyiv, Mazepa Street in the capital. Those from Kyiv will know it. So regarding all this, on Mazepa Street lives a Kiev legend, Mykhailychenko, who is now a journalist at GA. And Matova is being accused of beating a very good man, Mr. Mykola. And who is Mr. Mykola? Mr. Mykola is a plumber who services the residential buildings right on Mazepa Street. And so it's written on GEI that an incident happened in a neighboring building. Mr. Mykola, who services our building as well, was beaten by one of the residents of the neighboring building. According to eyewitnesses, it turned out to be the former Dynamo coach, Mykhailychenko. At the moment, Mr. Mykola is in one of the hospitals in the Pachersk district. The incident happened in the second half of the day. The reason for the conflict was the lack of heating in the building, as is the case incidentally in thousands of homes in the capital and other cities. In these difficult times, people who are trying to restore our light and warmth should not have to face rudeness, let alone physical violence. When aggression gets out of control, it is often directed at those who cannot fight back. According to Mr. Mykola, the head of the housing office was recording everything on his phone. However, after speaking with Mykhailychenko, he said that the video had disappeared. The neighbors in our building speak very warmly of Mr. Mykola. Every day he comes to the city center from Hostomel, and from morning until late at night, he does everything he can to help people. Mr. Mykola filed a report with the police, but he worries that because of the perpetrator's well-known name, the case might be swept under the rug. That's not a post, that's a song. When I called Mykhailychenko, he looked down on me and advised me to take a break, noting that he didn't care, even if someone wrote about it. I ask you not to stay indifferent, to share this story, because no one has the right to raise a hand against another person, especially not against someone who is not the cause of any discomfort. So this story is developing. A police report has also been filed, and now law enforcement will be investigating this incident. But anyway, I'm just summarizing. Why is it at this very moment, quite unexpectedly, when the entire country should be standing together in complete unity, that we are, in fact, actively opening up a divisive second front? The second front right here within our own rear lines. The answer there to the question of why is, of course, rhetorical. We all know why. Maybe because there's a payoff to Moscow because of something else. There are a lot of reasons. There are explanations for why this is happening, but what are we supposed to do about all of it? The option to go spend the night at a resilient center or to leave Kyiv. Well, in this case, I think it's not effective enough. People need to be given a sense of perspective. And I'm not just talking about a schedule right now. I mean a real perspective. At minus 10 to 15 degrees Celsius on the 5th day without electricity.